We're back with another episode of A Conversation About COVID. And with us again is our panel of YPG Commander Colonel Ross Poppenberger, Command Sergeant Major Jamathon Nelson, YPG Technical Director Larry Bracamonte, and YPG Deputy Garrison Manager Ron James. Colonel Poppenberger, do you have some opening remarks, sir?
Hi, YPG. So this is our fourth video that we've done here, and overall we've gotten some great feedback on communicating with the workforce in this forum. I think we're going to continue to do this certainly through the COVID pandemic, but we've had some comments about continuing on even beyond this. And as we go forward, you know, we'll make an assessment and talk about probably continuing to do this, maybe not on a weekly basis, but maybe at least quarterly. We haven't made any decisions yet, but I'm glad for the feedback on that. I'm glad that you're getting some value out of these videos. What I would like to do is focus here on this one. We'll continue to focus on the questions from the workforce. We've got about 4 or 5 of them today that will go around the panel going forward again. What I will say is our practices are working. So, you know, over the course of the last several weeks, you know, we've had a spike of about 17 individuals that have been on self-quarantine. To date, we still have had no reported positive cases on any of our test YPG ranges. So things are going fantastic. And as we report this, we only have 5 personnel across our ranges on self-quarantine. So what this has been a testament to me on is the practices that we're executing is working. We're conducting our tests, we're remaining open for business, and we're doing it in a safe manner for all personnel. Even we look at a major concern up at Fort Greely, Alaska. To date, we still have no YPG personnel that have been tested positive for COVID-19. And across the board at Fort Greely, you know, there was a concern of that breaking out there. There's only been 1 individual in the Delta Junction area. So a great news story, and of course the methods are working here in Yuma as well, and you know, down in the tropics region. So things are going great. I also wanted to highlight when, you know, our return to normal. I think this pandemic will most likely change the way everybody around the world does business in the future. But as we look to getting back to our new normal, or getting, you know, folks back more off of telework and more in the office, we'll continue to follow the policies put out by our national leaders and our state and local leaders as well. And we'll follow suit. So as I'm giving this video here in mid-April right now, we're going to continue the processes and procedures that we're doing now for at least the next week, maybe the following week, and we will make a decision, you know, going forward based on threat and based on what's going on. But what I will say is I really applaud, you know, our YPG leaders, our local, our state, and our national leaders for the rapid action that we've taken, and so far things are going well. And the most important thing is we're conducting our test mission safely, and we're continuing to do the work for the nation. So I think I'll turn it over to Mark, and we'll talk through some of these questions.
Mr. Bracamonte, the folks that are teleworking right now, before they're allowed to return to post to their normal offices, places of duty, are they going to have to all undergo a COVID-19 test?
The answer to that question is no. You know, right now we are teleworking as a preventative measure to increase social distancing among YPG personnel. We are not teleworking because we think somebody has COVID-19. What we are doing is some people are self-quarantining as a result of having symptoms and so forth, and those personnel are undergoing a 14-day quarantine before they come back to work. But after that, we are not testing anybody for COVID-19.
Colonel Poppenberger, another question about teleworking. How are we ensuring that the telework is being done equitably? And if someone feels that it's not, what can they do about it?
You know, at the end of the day, is the supervisor's responsibility to manage the individual employees. To the extent practical, we want to push folks out of the office to separate and social distance, as Mr. Bracamonte just said. And so there are some tasks across our ranges that do not lend themselves to teleworking. Case in point, for the most part, the gun crews, the mechanics, those sorts of jobs are not conducive to telework. And on the Garrison side, there's many jobs that are not jobs that you can telework on. So to the extent practical, we want to push people out to telework. And most of the more administrative and desk type jobs, or some of the managerial leadership jobs that don't require constant presence at the office, lend themselves nicely to telework. So I don't look at telework as an equity thing, as a treat or a reward. Telework is you're still going and you're doing your job. You just do your job kind of sitting at your computer, talking at your phone from your home office as opposed to the work office. But there are simply jobs across our ranges that you cannot do. You can't bring the M1 tank home to your house and work on it and telework in those regards. And so what we will continue to focus on is for those jobs that require on-site work and closer than 6-foot proximity. We've done things like making it mandatory to wear masks, and increasing the hygiene and cleaning the tools and cleaning the surfaces of the vehicles. And so we'll continue to do those sorts of tasks in a safe manner. And again, as I said in my opening comments, is our practices, policies, and procedures are working. They're working great here at YPG. And what's so noteworthy to mention is we have not laid people off across our ranges on YPG. We have certainly had to reduce some hours just due to the downturn in work. But it's a great news story that we're continuing to do the things that we need to do, both for our workforce and for our national defense.
So a lot of folks are hoping for the day that a COVID-19 vaccine will be developed. If and when that happens, could the civilian members of the YPG family get that possible vaccine from the YPG Health Clinic?
Well, so that's a tough question in terms of, hey, I got to stay in my lane on this. Just like everybody else out there, I hope and pray that we come up with a COVID-19 vaccine, but that's not anything that myself or YPG is involved in. There's some really brilliant people working on that, so I can't speculate on when. What I can talk about, though, is the fact that when and if something comes out like that, we will continue to follow the same practices in the medical community as we have now. So what that means is if you're a TRICARE member, you'll utilize the TRICARE channels. If you're Blue Cross Blue Shield, you'll utilize those channels. The other highlight is I've been fairly successful in communicating with the community, and there are some things that the community has really helped out for YPG personnel. We've had some very favorable discussions on prioritizing some folks at YPG if they need to get a COVID-19 test or whatnot through the community outside of our walls. So as far as what we can do, within the healthcare system, is you will still follow your same healthcare policies that are in place now. The same as the flu shot before the COVID-19.
Mr. James, we just had Easter a few days ago. If somebody's family members came to visit them for Easter, do they need to self-quarantine now?
It's a difficult question. So I'll start off by saying hopefully everybody is following the governor's stay-at-home order, practicing social distancing, because that's what's keeping our numbers down. If by chance you gathered with family locally and you are concerned, I would say just follow the common sense practices of if you or someone in that gathering was symptomatic, then you need to reach out to your healthcare provider and pursue that.
Another question for you, Mr. James. Ordinarily, YPG has a great many summer programs for kids. I think a lot of folks are concerned that those programs won't be around this summer. Will there be something for the kids?
Absolutely. What it will look like, not sure, but our goal is to have the same exact summer program that we had last year. The challenge will be, what does that look like? Do we need to have it in a social distance manner? And that'll play out as time passes and we get guidance. Some other things we're thinking about is when and if we open the pool, and again, we'll get higher level guidance on when we do that. But our goal is to be as normal as we can within the parameters of keeping everybody safe.
Sergeant Major Nelson, the gym has been closed to civilians for several weeks now, but soldiers are allowed to use it again now. Why is that?
So soldiers are allowed to use it in limited hours. So originally we were told close the gym, but there's some leeway in there, and the commander decided in order to support Army readiness, we need to allow the soldiers to use it because they support readiness. They are required to do PT every morning. So as part of that requirement, we've opened it up in groups of 5, between 6 and 9. So we've limited the numbers. And what you got to remember with the social distancing is that is a huge place to gather. And you know, when you work out, you breathe hard. So we're really strict on how we're using it. Now we are going to look into, you know, there are some other people that have requirements for physical fitness, and we'll look into that and maybe have an update next week in our next video.
All right. Well, again, this week, relatively few questions coming in. I think that's a testament to we're mitigating some concerns across the workforce, and that's our intent on this. We want to share everything we know. We want to communicate with the workforce, essentially over-communicate with the workforce. And so we all hope that you find value based on the feedback we're getting. We feel that you are. Thanks for doing what you do day in and day out in the defense of this great nation. And together we will all continue to get through this. And as I said in my opening comments, we'll look to continuing on this sort of communication, because I do understand in the town halls that I've been having, the Post Theater gets pretty packed, and not everybody has the opportunity to go in there and see those town halls. So maybe we'll look into doing some sort of communication like this as we continue to go forward. Again, thank you for your questions. Keep them coming in. We want to answer your questions. We want to mitigate your concerns, and we want to continue to make YPG the strong workforce that it is and doing the work that we do. Thanks.